They headed back toward the forest on the hint the barber gave them with Gordok in the lead. Fade said they'd know the way when they saw candles lighting the path to the church, so they were looking out for it. At first, all they saw was what they left behind. Moonlight highlighting feathers, dirt, and the quiet aftermath of too many chickens and not enough restraint. Magma looked at Astria with an expression that stated, "Look what you did." She nearly punched him for bringing it up again. They walked past the clearing before noticing something out of the ordinary. Gordok pointed at it.
Do you see that?
Ahead, 2 candles burned with pink flames side by side, then 2 more, then another pair, leading somewhere. The air changed as soon as they stepped off the main path, eerie, threatening and yet comfortable. It was a confusing feeling for the 4 as they could not accurately describe it. Elysia rubbed her arms.
This place gives me goosebumps.
Magma frowned.
Agreed. This feels abnormal.
They kept walking. That's when Astria saw them first. Shapes moving between the trees. Figures, soft, faded and drifting. Dozens of spirits, all moving the same direction towards the same place the candles pointed to. Elysia looked back at the 3.
We seeing that, right?
Gordok shook his head.
I can barely make them out, but I see shapes.
The spirits passed through the forest like it was a hallway. They moved with purpose, ignoring the 4 and following the candlelit path. Astria whispered.
Are they going to church?
Elysia confirmed.
So it would appear.
They watched the spirits for a moment before following them. The path led them out of the trees and straight into noise. Tambourines rattled first, then drums kicked in, fast and lively. Feet stomped the ground like they intend to shake up the devil's home. The sound bounced through the clearing like it had nowhere better to be. Laughter spilled out between the beats. Somebody clapped in time while somebody else missed the rhythm and didn't care. Women in white dresses and head wraps glided past them, shaking their hips and eyes locked forwards. Men were in front of them, shaking their hips in a seductive manner, one hand on their hips and one foot behind the other. Children also participated in this dance, laughing loudly. Everyone appeared to be intoxicated by the Holy Spirit. Everyone's eyes all had that same golden color, and a faint golden aura could be seen, varying in shapes and sizes reminiscent of armor. The church wasn't a cathedral, but what looks to be someone's house converted to accommodate people. In the center was a ceremonial pole of various colors, but predominantly red, green, and yellow. The spirits that were seen in the forest could be seen spiraling the pole, as if they too were dancing with the people. Through the door, a table could be seen with various candles, all lit with pink flames. A kerosene lamp with Home Sweet Home lampshade was lit in the center. Accompanying it are various oils, fruits, and drinks with a bowl of water in the center. Bodies can be seen lying on the ground as if passed out, and people danced around them as if this was a normal occurrence. Faint spirits could be seen near their bodies. People shouted hallelujah on the top of their lungs and spoke in tongues that were incomprehensible to those nearby. The temperature peaked as people could be seen sweating and gasping for air, gradually working themselves into a trance-like peak of exaltation. At the outset, it would appear they were mad with holiness. One fluffy sister took a break from dancing to have a seat, using her hand as a makeshift fan to cool herself down. She looked at the 4 and immediately scowled. She moved to another member and spoke in a hushed tone, assuming the noise of the drums and tambourines would further drown out her voice.
Is that really how people who come to church dress? Couldn't they have put themselves together some more?
The other church sister replied.
Loud Sister Ingrid, you couldn't see the people and leave them alone? It shouldn't matter what they wore, but that they are here.
Ingrid didn't like that response and hissed her teeth. She went back to her seated position on the floor, clearly unsatisfied with her little chat. Elysia heard her remarks and was a little upset, but she hid it well and pretended like she didn't hear her. The drums and tambourines dropped in volume, but the rhythm never stopped. Various water basins could be seen coming from the house in various bright colors. They were made of recycled plastic, as you can see scratches, chips, and makeshift repairs done to them. But you could also see where care was given to them, as they were as clean as they could be and very usable. The ritual slowly died down. It's like people have been woken or dragged from somewhere, and people could be seen calming down, waking up and regaining their consciousness, reminiscent of waking up from a dream where you were falling. The spirits that were near the fallen stayed with them until they had been fully conscious before leaving. It was like they were guiding their spirits back to their bodies safely. Long wooden planks and sturdy crates were brought out to make benches for people to rest and recover, and plastic cups with water or juice were given. A voice could be heard calling out from the house.
Rejoice! 4 lost lambs have joined us this evening.
Someone else shouted her introduction.
The shepherdess has arrived.
The place got quiet fast before she came through the door. She wore a white dress with a red head wrap, so tight not even air could pass. She also had a red sash and a stick wrapped with clear tape. Faint dirt and flesh could be seen depending on how the light catches it. She opened her mouth again.
Please welcome these lost souls, sinners as they are. They have come to be healed and absolved of their sin. They get to participate in our communion service tonight.
They were taken by the hand and made to sit on the wooden benches. The basins were half filled with water and a white cloth that can be seen floating around. The shepherdess spoke.
Before we partake, let us humble ourselves and wash our brothers and sisters' feet. Varied as we are all equal in the eyes of the Lord.
The shepherdess came amongst the crowd with a basin in hand. She bent on one knee and began washing Sister Ingrid's feet. Ingrid pinched the shepherdess's wrist and whispered. After a moment, the shepherdess flinched but continued washing in an effort to act normal. Ingrid looked at Elysia for a moment as well, before looking away. Elysia did not like how she was looking at her and whispering, and began to have a horrible feeling in her stomach. She touched Gardock to get his attention.
Gee, I'm having a bad feeling about that lady. Earlier, I heard her judging us based on what we're wearing. I was gonna let it slide, but now she's telling the shepherdess something and looking at me.
Gardock looked more cautious before stating.
Don't worry. If anything should happen, I'll protect you.
Elysia relaxed a bit after hearing Gardock say that before he knelt before her and took her shoes and socks off. He gently placed her feet in the basin. The water was cold and comfortable. He began scrubbing her feet, and faint spirits could be seen intertwining and dancing around them. Elysia's eyes softened behind her glasses, and she put a hand on his shoulder with a smile that could melt even blue mountain peak snow.
Thank you, Gardock.
Further up the bench, Magma suddenly felt himself a little embarrassed all of a sudden.
My, how the tables have turned.
Astria had her shoes twirling in her hand, legs crossed with one foot in the water. Her dress rolled up and sat on her thighs. A mischievous smile radiated from her face.
Magma said nothing. Astria taunted again.
Cat got your tongue?
Magma rebutted.
Nothing can't go on my tongue.
She laughed, savoring every second of this moment. She tilted her head back and pointed to the ground.
Humble yourself.
Magma looked disgusted before sighing. He rested the spear down beside him, face dejected. He grabbed her legs with more force than necessary. She yelled and smacked him upside the head.
Be gentle.
He placed her feet in the basin and washed it like a kid being forced to do something by their parents. Astria relished the moment. Seeing his face like that improved her mood.
Maybe now you will be a little more careful around me.
You chat too much. Now it is my turn.
Oh no, I'm going to wash Gardock's feet. Elysia will wash yours.
That's wicked, Astria.
She laughed again and got up, but noticed a serene scene with Gardock and Elysia. She stood there watching them. noticing how careful and nurturing Godok was to Elysia, before turning to Magma with a sad expression.
Why can't you be more gentle with me like they are? I'm always the butt of your jokes, Magma.
Magma looked at her for a long time, and for once, didn't have anything to say. She rolled her eyes and went over to Godok, who had just finished washing Elysia's feet. Godok noticed something off about Astria, but intentionally ignored it because it involved Magma. Elysia noticed Magma quiet for the first time and was about to say something, but something on his face told her not to say anything. The remaining washing happened without any further issues. Once the feet washing was complete, an offering bag was passed around. The four passed it along, and the skull was hidden from the person who handed them the bag. She asked Elysia,
I see you have a $sign pendant but no money. Is that purely for show?
I didn't know I had to have money.
The woman scoffed and said,
Well, maybe you should offer healing in exchange for money, or remove the pendant since you clearly don't have it.
She left before Elysia had time to respond. A hissed teeth could be heard from her direction. Elysia muttered to herself,
That's actually not a bad idea.
She was lost in thought for a moment before someone brushed against her shoulder. The brush felt heavy, which knocked her glasses off her face. She looked at the person's face and saw Sister Ingrid, her face in complete shock. She stared a long time in Alicia's eyes, processing what she had seen.
Mighty God of Daniel.
In Alicia's eyes were different colored irises, one gold and one pink. Elysia asked her,
What is it? Is there something on my face?
Sister Ingrid cleared her throat before saying,
Oh, it's nothing.
A hint of fear could be heard in her voice before she quickly went back to her seat. Elysia looked at her confused while putting her glasses back on.
Well, that was weird. She acts like she's seen a doppy, which is odd because they are everywhere here.
Sister Ingrid could be seen fidgeting in her seat. The spirits drifted further away from her and towards the house. Figures could be seen leaving the house. Their expressions seemed like they have been possessed with their faces drained of color. Garbed in business casual office wear, IDs with lanyards on different parts of their bodies. By the way they are dressed, it is apparent that they are on their way to work. The perfume smell was thick like it was just applied, and faint baby powder could be seen on some of their chests. The nearby spirits danced around them, laughing and dancing. Some could even be seen rubbing up on them like cats to a caring owner. The shepherdess retrieved the basin with water from the table and placed it near the pole. Some of the spirits moved away from it while some moved closer. The three were guided to the basin before the shepherdess added white rum, lime, and a chalky deep blue square, which quickly dissolved in the water, turning it a similar color. The three then placed their hands inside of the basin and something leaked out of their bodies and into the water. The color in their faces gradually returned to normal. They felt better quickly before they each held up their lanyards. The spirits that were rubbing up against them hopped into their lanyards as if they were caught. The three quickly placed back their lanyards on their bodies before offering a donation and leaving. The shepherdess saw the donation and smiled. She waved them goodbye before turning to begin a sermon.
Now that our spirits and feet have been cleansed and we have visitors, I don't wish to bore them with a long sermon in hopes of their return.
That's what her mouth said, but her eyes said otherwise. She kept glancing at the offering bag. It seems one of the workers left something extra in it. She recovered quickly.
Let me read your path, or rather, your past.
She held out her arms. One of the spirits entered her body and she radiated a golden light for a moment before returning to normal. She looked at the four of them and frowned.
Well, well, our little lambs are surely sinners.
She walked closer to Godok and hit his leg with her stick.
Disappointed. You should have stuck with the body God has given you. I know what you did with that rubber tree. God isn't sleeping.
Godok flinched. She walked over to Elysia, the stick hitting her hands.
Lying to your friends after what you did to that boy from the university, that was in poor taste. The light that cleanses also reveals.
Elysia looked terrified. She walked over to Magma. She held the stick in her hand with disdain.
Fornication, adultery, and temptations. You don't even have the self-respect to be ashamed of what you did. The road to hell is paved with sin.
Magma looked upset for once, and finally she made her way to Astria, but her expression softened.
This little lamb has made her way to seek absolution. Very commendable. Come, little one, let us help you.
She held Astria's hand so gently it felt like a mother helping a child up after they fell. She brought her towards the ceremonial pole and placed the pillow on the ground, gesturing her to kneel. A small vial of olive oil was handed to the shepherdess, to which she anointed Astria's head with. The spirits came closer to her before she clasped her hands and bowed her head. The shepherdess offered a prayer asking for forgiveness, protection, and deliverance. She drew for a machete and cut the air in the 4 cardinal directions around Astria. The sound of something being cut and then smashed could be heard inside the 4's mind and bodies, and they felt unrestricted. The sound of the drums and tambourines could be heard again before the shepherdess patted her shoulders and gave her a hug. Astria wiped a tear from her eye before returning to her seat. She intentionally sat between Gordok and Elysia. Elysia hugged her while Gordok held her hand. Magma simply watched. The shepherdess shouted,
Tonight, we dine with the stars and our ancestors. Eat, drink, and be merry, for the end of the world is near. Those transformers are no mere wild beasts, but rather a vessel. They bring souls to Zion to await Judgment Day. I pray I see each and every one of you in heaven.
She poured some of the rum on the ground to appease the spirits before taking a long swig herself. People got up and helped themselves to the food that was on the table. Some could be seen staying, while others got up and prepared to leave. But then a familiar face came outside of the house. Bantu knots, red kerchief, and pink eyes. She looked like she was trying to leave quietly without anyone noticing her. Elysia nudged Gwadok.
Hey, isn't that Ivy?
Gwadok looked up and smiled before making his way to her. She looked at him with a worried look before whispering something in his ear. He nodded and went back to Elysia.
We're gonna go now. We'll meet up with Ivy since she doesn't want to be seen here for too long.
He motioned for them to follow him and left. While they left, Sister Ingrid had her eyes locked squarely on them and watched them leave. The gears in her head were spinning so fast, steam could be seen coming out of her ears.